everybody, Speedy here, Bennu Studio Inc. Back to share a weekly update in my Saga series. I call it that because it's what building and actually finally operating my studio is like. It's a saga. I'll tell you what, this is a long epic journey. It's not a little thing. Um, it's been a very challenging couple of weeks, but here I am to give an update on what went on this week. A lot of really good things went on this week, despite all the challenges. Um, I owe a great deal of it to my alchemical approach to things. I'm coming to the end of a Negreto phase. Personal experiences kind of colliding with my goals. Um, but facing challenges and walking through hell and not collapsing under pressure and the weight of the pressure is so valuable. Like, you learn so much from it. And last week I started a long running series I plan to do for the entire time I'm doing the channel called Tales from the Drafting Table. And it started out rough, wasn't polished, and it's still not technically. It's getting closer to what its final format really will be. It needs to be polished like a river in a stone. If you think about it, the river washes over the stone and polishes it into something smooth and perfect. That's the approach I've taken to that series, and it's paid off a lot already. Um, like I said, last week's was really rough, not at all refined. I mean, the artwork part's going fine. I'm good at that part. Um, Filming it and what I need to do to operate the series is a new challenge for me, and I've taken all of the things from last week and incorporated them into this week's production and saw a lot of improvements. I still made some mistakes, but I track all my time and all the things that I'm doing so that I can go back on Sundays. I don't put videos out on Sundays. I spend Sundays kind of going through the alchemical process with the studio itself. And last Sunday, I took notes on ways I could do better from the data that I gathered from my first week, and I did see a lot of improvements. And I have already started to see improvements that I need to make from this past week's videos. This past week's videos, they got a lot better. I made some mistakes still. Like, I have an episode where I put my intro at the end and my outro at the beginning. I left it up like that. I didn't go up and edit it or whatever. And I put a comment down there letting people know, yeah, I know I messed up. Um, I'm approaching everything I'm doing authentically, the way I approach life. And I want people to actually see, and I want myself to be able to look back and see where it started and how it became polished over time and kind of got in sync and became stabilized as exactly what it's going to be. And I feel like this week I finally have a really good understanding of what its final format's going to be, how I need to work to accomplish it, and to keep it consistent as far as the way the show flows. I learned that this week. I feel really psyched about that. So there's lots of really great news. Um, like I said, it's part of the alchemical approach, and the fact that I study alchemy that makes it possible for me to manifest my dreams and chase them like I am. And alchemy requires honesty. It requires a brutal kind of honesty, and it's a big reason why I approach everything from an authentic. I don't hide my failures. I don't hide anything. I just let it be what it is. Um, in the last couple of Saga videos, you could definitely tell I was going through a Negreto phase because some of the subject and stuff was a little heavy. My life was really heavy at the time, and it was seeping into the work. But like I said, I'm authentic, so you're going to hear what I'm really going through while I'm telling stories or while I'm doing things. I'm not going to sugarcoat things or hide things. Uh, it's part of my philosophy. Being fake weighs so much more than being real. Being real weighs nothing if you know how to process and alchemize the experience. So being authentic comes with a downside, Um, you got a lot of people that are so invested in the social games in life that they'll take advantage of people who are being authentic out of like kind of maybe a sadness, or I'm not sure because I don't have that mindset. I don't know what motivates people to put the social games ahead of themselves in that way. Um, I don't function that way. Um, I'm aware of it and I understand it, and it's important to be aware of it and understand it. I'm a people watcher. That's part of being able to write stories about characters, and make stories. Is you got to understand how people function. So I do understand it, but I don't necessarily think like it. There's some shoes I can't put on, and I accept that. But I do try really hard to use my empathy and put the shoes on of others so that I can understand their motivations. Um, but at the end of the day, I can only know myself, and choosing to be authentic, I'd still rather do that than have the burden of trying to be a different person for a different time, a different situation. It doesn't mean that there aren't times that you need to kind of somewhat play the social game, like, but I try my best to stay away from it as much as possible, mostly by just being silent. That's my way of playing the social game is not playing. If you're silent, nobody knows if you're playing the game or not. There's a armor of God about that. you know, you do have to protect yourself when you're living an authentic and open and honest life. Um, and like I said, it's kind of negreto phase. You're going to go through times where you take in a lot of energy that you really don't want inside of your mental space. And you need to go through the negreto and burn away all those things that are bogging you down, slowing you down. And it goes beyond psychological alchemy. I apply alchemy to everything. So I apply it to my studio, I apply it to my art. Um, I'm not afraid of failures. I always make sure to pay attention to failures so that I can learn to avoid those specific ones again in the future. Um, and I think that people, just from the 2 weeks of videos I have, can see that process in life, see it real, see somebody living that approach. Um, Early on my channel, I spent a lot of time just making in general alchemy videos to try to get people that are following me to be on the same page, or people that are already interested in alchemy will end up on my page with me so that I can correspond and connect to people who do understand alchemy and understand its value. Um, I mean, I hate putting it that way. It sounds like a social game sort of thing, but there's some reality to what I'm about to say. You need to surround yourself with the kind of people that have the kind of mental energies that are similar to yourself. Um, I think it's sad, technically, that some people have very negative mental energies and spend all of their mental time being destructive to themselves and others. Um, but I just let people be what they are, and I just distance myself from people like that and keep seeking people that I have resonance and correspondence, life correspondence to. People who can look at failure as a way to get better instead of looking at failure as a reason to not accomplish something or an excuse. Those aren't the kind of people I can roll with. And I feel like the best way to find my tribe, and I have some, like I recently became really good friends with somebody who does resonate with me, and you know, I like them, they're a cool person. And then there's some older friends that, they're my friends because I resonate with them. So I still have them too, but we all go through this where we're also surrounded by a lot of people who do not resonate. They just have this approach and functionality that just doesn't, you can't get that bandwidth tuned in, and you don't want to, you know so there is an aspect, even when you're being authentic, of the social game. Finding your own tribe, finding people that you resonate with and you can connect with, um, is a social game too. Even if I don't enjoy those things, I understand the need for it. There's still, you can't be 1000% authentic. I do my best to be as close to it as I can, but you got to protect yourself too. Um, but also, I do believe in letting a little bit of that in because you can't find your people without talking to people, getting to know people. And sometimes you're going to get to know people that, yeah, you're like, no, I ain't with that. That's not my kind of energy. You know, you don't know until you go find out. You got to give people a chance to show you who they are, and you got to give them time to show you who they are too. Somebody could have a bad week. If you judge them on one bad week, you might be missing out on a really awesome person. So give them multiple chances to show you who they really are, and give yourself enough time around them, so you kind of have a baseline of who they really are so you can protect yourself from them. So I will acknowledge there's a certain necessity of the social games. There's a defensive side to it. It's kind of required when you're trying to live as an authentic a life as you possibly can. Um, for me, it's one of those, a phrase I say a lot, last breath. I'm the only one who can take my last breath. I do everything I can every day to not regret every breath I take while I'm here. And part of that is knowing, having the discernment, but the patience to give people a chance to show you who they are, and but also the discernment to know when you're like, okay, I've had enough of that. I don't want to be around that. Boom, and cut it off and walk away. It's not cold. It's not ugly. It's just discernment. It's just knowing what isn't for you. And that's important. Knowing yourself. You really can't practice alchemy until you go through that very first dark night of the soul, which is a negreto process. Once you're developed as an alchemist, you go through them regularly. And that's why I do once a week Saga update videos, is to share with my audience and my followers, and with myself, keeping a video log of the progress I've made internally, what I've learned, how far I've come from where I've been. I'm a person who's growing every minute. I'm growing every minute. I'm learning something new all the time, and I'm constantly polishing it. And in a way, I'm the river and the stone. I'm both. I'm polishing myself. I'm constantly polishing myself. Not everybody's that way. And so, you know, I'll share what I'm trying to accomplish. And eventually, once everybody sees this is refined and all the way complete and functioning in all of its totality, everything we're going through and I'm sharing right now will have so much more impact. It'll make a lot more sense. And anybody who's behind me, who's younger, or maybe who hasn't decided to take life on by the horns instead of playing dodgeball with the bull of life, you know, um, that want to do it, will be able to see this saga and see these stories and see the things I went through and go, hey, they did it. And hey, they're talking openly about how hard it was, and about how they transmuted that into what they want, and how they turned even the negative energy into positive energy for themselves. Um, and it's something that I decided back when I stopped making the normal alchemical videos. I had a comment on there about my audio being bad, and it definitely was, because I don't have everything perfect. I'm shoestring budget, um, because I got to do like everybody else. I got to work a job to keep myself fed and keep fuel and, keep my car and things like that. And sometimes the economy is not perfect. So you can't always have everything you need right away. And heck, the ABI, this whole side of things, is new for me. So I have to be honest there. I don't even know the things I'm missing until I actually go and do it. But I'm one of those people who doesn't sit on the sideline waiting for somebody to come coach me on how to do something. And I also I'm a frugal person, so I don't go throw all my money out there towards all the things other people say I need. I go find out. I fuck around and I find out. Sorry about my language. It's just what it is. I fuck around and I find out. And I'm built that way. Partly because of my artistic training, growing up my whole life as an artist, partly because of the alchemical training, but also because of things like being a student athlete my whole life. It taught me that You got to learn how to fall down correctly so that you avoid injury and can get back up and do better and keep improving and keep rising. And so I got a lot of influences from a lot of different like approaches to my past life that have made it possible to do this. And I'm excited about where I am, even though things have been really heavy and really dark. I've got 2 weeks straight of content. I've got a series that was one of my cornerstones that I wanted to have long running, up and running. And like I said, it's not perfect yet. I don't entirely believe in perfect. I believe in striding. You must try for perfection, but you also have to be smart enough to accept where you've done as much as you can and made it as much as you can. And this second week is vastly different than last week's series. It's already improved a bunch. Um, I do have some technological things that I'm bypassing and getting around. Like you see me with the headset. You know, other people they've got the microphone, and I don't have those things yet. I will get those things, but I will get them when it's the best opportunity to get them. And also, I'll know better what I need. I may not need one of those traditional stand up mics and boom mics. I may not need that. That may not be best for what I do, especially with the other series that's coming to follow up with this one. Um, it's it's called For the Love of Execution. It's in pre-production and planning. Um, I hope that I will actually begin that series in August. And there are things about it that, like a sit down stand up mic, it's going to be a waste of money having one of those. Um, the only place I see that might be useful is when I do actually go back to doing some game streaming. Video game streaming on Twitch was my way to kind of force myself to just let my inner child loose and play and have fun and meet other people who are into the game I'm into. Um, and to share it with them, you know, and also have footage that I can go back and watch and see where I messed up and where I can improve, which is funny. So even my downtime and my fun hobby, I'm still alchemizing and constantly trying to improve. It's just who I'm wired as. And if you're somebody who's wired that way too, welcome. Thanks for coming to check it out. And if you've got any insights or any experiences that you think might benefit me to know about, I'm all ears. Um, and like I said, you know, I stopped those alchemical videos because, you know, there's plenty of videos out there to teach people what it is. They can go find out on their own, like the basic language and vocabulary of it. They don't really need me to tell them that. And there needs to be, to me, there needs to be more living alchemy instead of just throwing up slogans and talking about, you know, Hermes and Trismegistus and Thoth and the one that they leave out all the time is Solomon. I don't know why he gets left out. Technically, he counts too. He does, you know. And Plato and Aristotle, they're huge. And heck, my bot that I use to help me with my administrative stuff, I named him Zeno after Xenophon in the, you know, the March of the 10,000. The Anabasis, good book. That's a good read. Okay, I'm a book nerd. All right. There'll be some series or something eventually that's, or you know, some subject I'm going to do that is a dedication to that. I like it that much. But you see what I'm saying, you know. Um, and Carl Jung obviously is a massive impact on me. Um, Somebody needs to live the alchemy instead of just talk the alchemy. And so I am doing that, and I'm doing my best to explain it. And if there's anything anybody needs to know about it, you'll see me out there, out and about. You can just ask. I'm living alchemy. I'm not preaching alchemy. You take it or leave it. I 100% believe that that's the key to human evolution. It's right there. It's not running off and going getting tripped out on drugs to go meet elves. I mean, I'm not knocking anybody who wants to take Terrace McKenna route. Technically, it's the Jimi Hendrix "Are You" experience route that we all go through when we're younger, when we're first in college. If you're smart, you go get some experience. It's just the truth. But you shouldn't be living in it, and it's kind of ridiculous to think that you can buy the stairway to heaven. You can't. You got to earn the stairway to heaven, and that's here. That's not going someplace else. It's turning one reality into a perfect reality or very close to it. Because I don't believe perfect is natural. Look at nature. Mutation exists. Why? Because nature is not perfect. She tries things, and sometimes she fails. So she's beautiful because of that, you know? Um, but yeah, it's all about, it's all mental. These alchemical principles are absolutely true. It's all mental. That's absolutely been my experience. My mind can overcome everything if I have my mind high tuned and finely tuned to overcome anything that comes at it. Put a lot of work into that. And that makes all these other things that I'm trying to accomplish, from the personal challenges to the challenges of getting my own studio up and running. It's because it's all mental. And I sharpen that pencil every day, every moment. And some people might be like, well, you need to find time to like just goof off and relax. And I do. I take Sunday off. I don't make videos on Sunday. I feed my inner child. I pamper myself. I relax. I just sit around and think about nothing. And I have some good meditation and I read books. I don't consider reading books to be work. I consider it to be entertainment because my mind likes to eat. As Thomas Jefferson put it great, he can't live without books. That's his food. Books and knowledge and learning new things is manna. So, to all creatives who are like, oh, I can't think of anything to create, feed your head. Grace Slick got it right on the nose. Feed your head, and your idea center will never be empty. You'll never have creative block again, ever. I haven't had it since I was in junior high. Feed your head. That's the answer. Period. You know. Um, but yeah, I think this was a good update. It's a little longer than I intended, but there's just so much that happened this week. And most of it good. I'd say 99% of it was good because all the negative things that did end up coming up, I overcame them. I managed them. Um, I kept my eye on the prize. And I'm going to keep doing that until I get to where I want to be. And then when I get to where I want to be, I'm going to keep my eye on the prize still. And I'm going to take every lesson and every failure and keep sharpening the pencil and keep improving everything I'm doing. I love that process. Anyway, I hope everybody has a wonderful day, evening, night, early morning. I hope you all manifest the things you dream about. I hope the things you dream about are positive. Don't be out there doing any feral manifestations and letting, like, colossuses and trolls loose on us. You know, the Nephilim are interesting, but don't invite them back through manifestation, feral manifestation. But just a joke. I mean, I do have a fun side. I mean, I'll tell you the real secret of the studio. Everybody who's a fan of like all animations, Western, Asian, all animations, and who've been following animated stuff for a long time will recognize this reference. See this? All you heavy metal fans know exactly what I'm talking about. The studio's succeeding because I have the Lochnar. I have the Lochnar. I'm not that little girl in the house at the end of the heavy metal movie, but I, I have the Lochnar. See, I have fun. I'm silly too. Sorry, I'm just being a dork. Oh, being a geek here. If you get a chance, go watch the heavy metal movie. It's pretty awesome. We need to make more stuff like that in America again. It'd be pretty cool. Um, yeah, I think it was an adult thing. And for us in junior high, it was one of those like contraband. We're not supposed to have it. So naturally, we had it and we would share it with everybody until the thing was completely worn out, you know? But it was actually, the first one was really good and some of the best artists in the West at the time. Um, so actually, I think it aged well and had a really great story. The second one, it's just okay. It doesn't have the feeling of the first one. The first one had a collection of all the best artists working together on it, and the second one is too polished. The first one had a very distinctive difference between each story in it. Um, but hey, all of you fans of the movie Fifth Element, there's your Corbin Dallas. He's in the heavy metal movie. Anyway, that's where he really comes from. And and then there's Captain Stern. Oh God, Captain Stern is so awesome. You should just go check out the heavy metal movie. Then you'll really understand this reference about the Lochnar. Everybody fought over the Lochnar. But you know what? Like I said, I have it. I have the Lochnar. All right, enough silliness. Let's wrap this up. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. Speedy out, and I'll see you next week in the updates about the studio and its progress. And yeah, come check out Tales from the Drafting Table. That's 5 days a week. And I'm about to wrap up the first subject, and you should see a lot of improvements in next week's series. Alrighty, bye.